and the Remo backed him. This is where it comes in, you see, where I said that was where they went for me. They should never have became anybody's backing band. Colin was good enough to, if Dwayne Eddy was good enough to front his own band, you know, then Colin was good enough in this country. You know, Hank Marvin basically fronted the Shadows, didn't he, really, when you think about it.
I was going to play, say, this is probably one of the most famous with Johnny Sandon. It's a great record. Again, Colin on fantastic guitar, Lies.
Well, Colin wrote it.
Yeah.
Colin Manley actually wrote that, and what happened, there's a story about that. They were going to play that on Jukebox Jury when the Beatles were on, and they were actually, this was the next record to come on, Lies, and the thing is that they'd run out of time. So what happened is, I think it was David Jacobs, said, you know, thanks guys, you know, obviously we've been talking to the Beatles, we've run out of time, we'll see you next week, and Lies was going to be the next record to go on and get the Beatles, who would have obviously, hopefully, would have said, yeah, that's brilliant, you know. So it never got the airplay really, but it's a great song, and Colin wrote it, and he told me that I think obviously Colin died in 1999, but he got 2 pence for every one it sold, yeah. So he obviously didn't make a fortune.
It's a great Merseybeat track, that is. It's one of the
and just to finish off the Remo thing, because we got to watch the time. I'm telling you, Dave, on that, it's terrible. What happened is that Keith left, I left, Roy Dyke came in, and then Don Andrew left, so they brought Tony Ashton in on keyboard. So it's a little story that some people don't know anyway. So they brought Tony Ashton in, and then they got a guy called King Gardner. So you had Roy Dyke, Colin, Tony Ashton, King Gardner, and I don't know who the other, Phil Rogers. Phil Rogers was playing out of the Jaywalkers. He actually was with them for a while. And then Phil left, so they then became, Roy Dyke and Tony Ashton and King Gardner became a threesome, and they decided to stay together as a threesome. So they became, from the Remo, they couldn't call themselves the Remo 3. So they took a name off each one and called themselves Ashton, Gardner and Dyke, who had the record Resurrection Shuffle, and it got to number 2. And we're speaking to Tony Ashton, who wrote it, and he told us how he did it. They'd done an A-side, and they wanted a B-side. So he said, the guy said, go in, write a B-side, which they used to do in them days, you know, in a couple of minutes. So he just said to Roy Dyke, I said to Dyke, give me that little Richard thing. And then he started to go, and if you listen to the record, that's all it is. It's just this shuffle beat on the drum. And he said the words meant nothing, and if you listen to the words, you grab your partner from the woman next door or something. He said he didn't know what he was writing, shuffle on the floor, he was just matching words up at the end of it. But they had this great beat, you know, that Dykey had given them. And he said that's the rest is history. Yeah. Tom Jones has done it, I think everybody's done it, haven't they?
And he also did a famous song, The Ballad of the Remo.
Oh yeah, if you get an LP by Ashton Gardner and Dyke, which is really nice, they wrote a song called The Ballad of the Remo Four. So that's I should have brought that for you, Dave.
Yeah, I've got that. You've got the album. I did the album for you.
Yeah, that's good.
Just thought about that one. Well, yeah, but back to Group 1. So Group 1 went on through into 64.
Yeah.
And you did the Mersey Sound. That's what I was going to bring up, because Jeff was on the Mersey Sound, Harry was on the Mersey Sound, Dave was on the Mersey Sound. A very famous BBC documentary, probably the earliest proper documentary on Merseybeat.
It was actually. It was 1963, wasn't it? Yeah.
Well, there was one before that, wasn't there, at the Cavern with Daniel Farson?
I'm sure that was before. That was after Dave. Ours was the first one. Yeah.
I think that was before.
No, it was after December. That was December '63. Yours was October. That was ITV's answer to BBC's Mersey Sound.
Hey Jeff, he's got it on the phone.
Yeah, the bloody phone.
He's got it on the phone, Jeff.
That phone's worth a fortune.
I know. I brought mine. He's overpowered mine. He's not said a word yet. But that was a great film, if you get, I think I know Dave's brought me.
I tell you what, there was so much left out of that film. It was unbelievable.
Yeah.
And some of it would have been the best bits, you know. Why? I'd love to get clips of what you've cut out.
Yeah.
So that'd be amazing.
It was done by Don Howarth, who was the same guy who did Fred Dimner. Dave was still, Dave Williams was still in touch with him. I don't know whether he's died or what, Dave, do we?
Not sure.
But Dave and Eric did an interview at the docks, and Dave I know he got into trouble at the time, but he made the headlines in the Liverpool Echo, didn't you, Dave? Because Dave was going on about the unemployment in Liverpool and what the houses, the squalor in the houses, and all people had to do was play guitars and everything. And the police wouldn't come into certain venues because they were frightened.
Which was actually true.
Because he was told, well, it was true. It was at Wilson Hall. No one's going. I don't know how we went in there. And it was the headlines in the Liverpool Echo.
It doesn't matter how you got in there, Daddy. It was how you got out.
One of the best things about the Merseysound for me, again, once I got to know Harry, he said, "Oh, I've got a tape of the stuff we did for that," and he got a little cassette of the three numbers that they did, with all the BBC. There's a bloke before it talking about tape on.
It's Eric London, actually.
Was it Eric? Was it Eric?
It was Eric London, did it? He'll say he doesn't remember, but it was it.
It was Eric.
Yeah.
He says, "Countdown, Ringo countdown drum crash."
And laughs. That's you, is it?
I'm afraid so.
Oh, right. That's down to that. But on the soundtrack, they do pretend, but it keeps fading off, and Les Ackley comes in talking over it. But Harry had the full version. A great bit of film of in the show doing that, but it just keeps cutting in between them at the iron door, Les Ackley talking and all sorts of things.
Yeah, it's a great film if you see it. We sometimes get copies of it, but I don't think we've got any.
It's on upstairs now.
Is it? Yeah, that's right. Dougie has it. Yeah. If Eric remembers rightly, and I remember rightly, if you watch the film, you'll see it goes to Ringo's house in not Admiral Grove, Dave. The other one is it Admiral Grove? By the pub, where the pub is.
Yeah.
Goes there, and Ringo comes out of the house and jumps into George's car, opens up car, and all the kids chase them down the road, similar to. Group 1. Yeah. And what happens is they go to all these kids playing in their rooms and everything, and then they go up to Ringo's house, up to his window, and you hear this is the drum crash. You hear this roll of drums and the crash on the cymbal. Well, Epstein, because they didn't do it on the day they had the Beatles, Epstein wouldn't let Ringo go all the way to Southport or whatever it was. Well, we did it at the Iron Door, didn't we?
Yeah.
All the way to the Iron Door, just to do a drum crash. So they said to me while I was there, "Will you do the drum crash?" I didn't know what it was for. They just said, "Do us a drum crash." So that was when Eric counts me in, and the drum crash. And you know what I mean? I'm sitting there watching it, and you see this Ringo's house, and this drum kit going around and a drum crash. And everyone's thinking, "Wow, it's Ringo playing drums." And it's me. And no one ever knows, so if you ever watch it, will you please give me a bit of credit? It's me.
It's the very last bit you hear before the Beatles do Twist and Shout at the end.
It's me playing, isn't it, Dave? Because Eric, you're there. Well, in the thing we've got, Eric does count us in, yeah. That was good. Good film, that.
It's a great film, It's the first proper documentary on Merseybeat.
But Group 1 was great. You listen to Group 1, because we're going to have 5 minutes questions, and then if we listen to Group 1, you'll see very similar to the Remo. Dave, like I said, the only person ever to stand in for Colin Manley was Dave Williams. In my opinion, the only one ever good enough to stand in for Colin Manley.
Don't overdo it, Harry.
No, he always says that. He is the most underrated guitar player to come out of Merseysound.
In 50
and
years.
he doesn't like it. He doesn't like me talking about it, but he was. And we used to fight terrible, me and Dave, didn't we, Dave?
Yeah. Hated him.
He did, actually. He's my best friend now. He really is my best friend.
It's not what he said before.
No.
Don't say that.
Yes,
Don't tell him.
I need a lift tomorrow. and Eric, again, a great bass player. And I know Eric was so pleased to be asked to join the band. And Keith Stokes, Dave and I say, he was such a good-looking guy. And he could sing anything from Carl Denver to Roy Orbison and all that, And Keith was, again, underrated, I thought. But we weren't a jumpy round group. I mean, you couldn't compare us with Farron or with Jeff's band or any other band. we were a band out on our own, and there was no one even thought that there was a better instrumental band than the Remo in Merseyside. There was no other one, and that was because of the...
Still isn't.
No, that was because of the musicians, you know. It just gelled. We were just so exceptional. It just gelled, you know. And Group 1 was the same. Again, great musicians, and we did very well. We toured and we played everywhere, and we did good, David. Question?
Chris, have you said, shall we open it up to the floor for questions?
We've got 5 minutes.
Okay, who's got a question?
I've got one.
There you are.
Frank, before you start, you're not going to ask me about my sex life.
Bloody very short answer then.
Go on.
Yeah. 2 things. You were supposed to be writing a book. What happened?
What happened is I was asked about 4 or 5 years ago to write a book about all this because, you know, some of the lads have been, Jeff and to my house, and they've seen all my memorabilia and everything. And I said, yeah, you know, I'll do it. I'll write the Remo, you know, when you've heard the Remo Four, you will ask for more, which was an anagram of Remo Four. That was going to be one of the titles. And then Bob Wooler gave me a great title. He wrote it in a book for me, and it says, when you hear them, you'll never forget the wonderful, fabulous Remo Quartet. You know, Bob gave me that, and he signed it. So that, and to be honest with you, Frank, I just haven't had the time. I really haven't. I am a bit lazy on that side of it. And Ray O'Brien said to me, I'll tell you what, I'll come up with a tape recorder, like we're doing now. I'll put all these stories on because there's loads of stuff. There's all the cabaret stuff and all that, working with Frankie Bourne and Ken Dodd and all that. And there's all that as well, you know. So I was going to put all that in the book, but I decided to... I didn't have the energy or the time to do it, so I went with doing the calendar. So that was when I did my first calendar. And then I did 3 calendars because they were so popular. Yeah. And then this year the printing costs, well, I got to the printers and they said you've missed the deadline, but I'm hoping to get one for August this year.